against him. I'm not surprised that he had no back down in his game, because he is a player that plays with confidence and swag. And it was really cool to see him get the job done, and the emotion at the 18th green with the interview with Amanda, especially for like a really kind of like, Jersey boy.
Tough
Good to
Jersey
see a little
guy
emotion
with the gold necklace. You're like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah,
sure.
that was super cool.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
And Twitter started blowing up that I think it was someone from TSN that was in the arena that was posting this stuff. And I'm sure, like, when they, it's a beer league, so after the first period, when they're all sitting there in the room, I'm sure somebody said, hey, Connor, you're getting lit up on Twitter. We're beating you 4-0. Ha, ha, ha. And he's probably thinking, like, I can't even play a beer league game without you guys, like, saying what the score is.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And I showed you the Heisman odds a week or two ago, and they had Garrett Nussmeier as the second favorite behind Manning. So Brian Kelly's very excited to have Garrett back at school.
He is no athlete, in my opinion. You can quote me on that. Like, he is a clumsy white dude, and he sucked. Like, I'm being nice now. Now all of a sudden you're talking about him being great? Oh, slow down there, Coach.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Shohei Ohtani can do something that nobody else in Major League Baseball can do. That means being maybe one of, if not the top 5 best hitters in baseball, and then go on the mound and throw some gems out here. Like, he threw 9 innings in his season, which isn't a lot, but that ERA is at 1. Are we saying that once he gets to 5 and 6 innings, that ERA is going to stay at 1? No, it isn't. But if it does, my goodness. I mean, just hand him the Cy Young on top of it as well. It's cheating.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid as we wrap up our week here on this Friday. The Open Championship is getting ready to wrap up day 2. We'll give you the live leaderboard with some surprise names, of course, at the top. We'll get to the latest in sports betting, discuss all of the action with Major League Baseball returning today. We'll also break down the very latest in sports media. Simon Applebaum joins us as he does every week from the podcast Tomorrow Will Be Televised, and also a fascinating story in the world of sports memorabilia. Not sure if you caught this yesterday, but we're going to break this down for you as well. Let's start off with the latest in sports betting and start off in the state of Illinois, where taxes have been the hot topic in terms of the state taxing more money to bet on sports. Circa Sports is one of the 10 licensed sports betting operators there. They have not yet decided if they're going to counteract the state's recently imposed per-bet fee. The director of operations for Circa Sports, his name is Jeffrey Benson, told a website called Sports Betting Dime that the operator is going to evaluate the Illinois sports market as it moves forward, but right now it does not have any plans to institute a betting fee like DraftKings and FanDuel for betting minimums on customers. Meanwhile, as I mentioned, this fascinating story and sad story in the end, in the sports memorabilia world, there's a gentleman who lives in the state of Indiana who claims to have forged and sold $350 million of sports memorabilia and admitted to it by basically using the Fanatics and several other authentication logos by recreating them and using an auto pen to forge autographs like Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Judge through the years, claiming that everything you see on the current market is fake, and he ended up producing them. Wrote this manifesto on a website and then was found dead by authorities in the state of Indiana. My goodness, a crazy story that seems to be evolving, and it does put the memorabilia business on its head a little bit, wondering if anything that you're buying these days is real or fake. Real money going to TJ Watt yet again. He's now the highest paid non-quarterback in history, $123 million with an AAV of $41 million. Watt leads the NFL with 73.5 sacks the past 5 seasons. Rashee Rice is waiting to get paid by the Kansas City Chiefs. He's going to have to wait. It looks like he's headed for a suspension. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail yesterday and 5 years probation for his role in a multi-car crash last year. the NFL now could impose a suspension. ESPN is speculating it could be multiple games, but we'll wait to see the outcome of that, with the Chiefs preseason set to begin next month. Meanwhile, Jordan Addison, wide receiver of the Minnesota Vikings, pled to a lesser charge in a DUI case. No contest to resolve a 2024 DUI citation. It still leaves him subject to NFL discipline as well. Coach Mike Elko says Shamar Stewart is not returning to Texas A&M. He is the unsigned draft pick by the Cincinnati Bengals. Some claims were made that he could return and get a new NIL deal with A&M and go back for another season. It appears that's not going to be the case. Quarterback Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts set to report to training camp. Shoulder believed to be in good shape as he tries to fight it out with Daniel Jones for the starting gig in Indianapolis. Mike Williams returned to the Los Angeles Chargers after playing with the Jets last season. That's a short-lived return. He's decided to retire, according to ESPN. Meanwhile, in the National Basketball Association, Damian Lillard's time away from Portland was short. He's headed back to them after his contract was bought out. 3 years, $42 million. He'll play with the Trailblazers, although this first year he'll be paid to not play. He's expected to miss the entire season. At the Open Championship, folks, we've got some very big long shots leading the way at the moment. United States' Brian Harman is 8 under par. He leads the field, plus 650 to win. Ha Tong Lee, nowhere near the top of the odds, is in second place at 7 under par. Matt Fitzpatrick, who's had a nice little run here on the tour, is 6 under, followed by Robert McIntyre. Scotty Scheffler is just a couple of strokes back. As you see there, he is still the favorite to win the Open Championship. He's currently 2-1 as they get ready to wrap up day 2. As far as Sunday night baseball is concerned, we've got a bunch of great matchups coming up in Major League Baseball. Those would include the Cubs and Red Sox here on this Friday afternoon. But on Sunday night baseball, ESPN, Apple, and NBC are all trying to jump into the mix, with ESPN's contract officially coming to an end. You may remember they had the Home Run Derby this past week, but they are done broadcasting games, it would appear, as soon as next season. Also, former All-Star Kyle Gibson, who signed a contract with the Orioles in the offseason, has retired after playing 13 seasons in the big leagues. And as I mentioned, this afternoon at 2:20 Eastern, the Red Sox will take on the Chicago Cubs. That's the first of all games scheduled today. Every team in Major League Baseball will be in action this weekend. Let's give you the very latest as far as news, notes, and information, where you can download the SportsGrid app just by opening up your phone and scanning this QR code. It is the SportsGrid app. It's available for both iOS and Android. And also, streaming options are much better and updated than they have been, say, 3 or 4 years ago. Our technology has been second to none. So make sure you download it. For those of you who are watching us maybe on one of your Samsung TVs or Vizio TVs, if you want a companion to that on the SportsGrid app, you can download it and catch it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week here on SportsGrid. Also, don't forget, coming up this weekend, we've got episodes of Fantasy Sports Today, Saturday morning and Sunday morning, with the upcoming National Football League season starting and preseason and NFL fantasy draft starting as well. You can catch me and George Kurtz Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, and Joe Pizzapia from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern on Sunday as well. We also have Simon Applebaum coming up on the show. In addition, we've got some fun guests, so make sure you stay tuned as we continue on here on the show, and we'll be back right after this, so make sure you stay with us here on SportsGrid.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The best
against him. I'm not surprised that he had no back down in his game because he is a player that plays with confidence and swag. And it was really cool to see him get the job done, and the emotion at the 18th green with the interview with Amanda, especially for like a really kind of like, Jersey boy.
Tough
Good to
Jersey
see a little
guy
emotion.
with the gold necklace. You're like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah,
Sure.
that was super cool.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
And Twitter started blowing up that I think it was someone from TSN that was in the arena that was posting this stuff. And I'm sure, like, when they, it's a beer league, so after the first period, when they're all sitting there in the room, I'm sure somebody said, hey, Connor, you're getting lit up on Twitter. We're beating you 4-0. Ha, ha, ha. And he's probably thinking, like, I can't even play a beer league game without you guys, like, saying what the score is.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I showed you the Heisman odds a week or two ago, and they had Garrett Nussmeier as the second favorite behind Manning. So Brian Kelly's very excited to have Garrett back at school.
He is no athlete, in my opinion. You can quote me on that. Like, he is a clumsy white dude, and he sucked. Like, I'm being nice now. Now all of a sudden you're talking about him being great? Oh, slow down there, coach.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Shohei Ohtani can do something that nobody else in Major League Baseball can do. That means being maybe one of, if not the top 5 best hitters in baseball, and then go on the mound and throw some gems out here. Like, he threw 9 innings so far in his season, which isn't a lot, but that ERA is at 1. Are we saying that once he gets to 5 and 6 innings, that ERA is going to stay at 1? No, it isn't. But if it does, my goodness. I mean, just hand him the Cy Young on top of it as well. It's cheating.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Against him, I'm not surprised that he had no back down in his game because he is a player that plays with confidence and swag. And it was really cool to see him get the job done, and the emotion at the 18th green with the interview with Amanda, especially for like a really kind of like, Jersey boy.
Tough
Good to
Jersey
see a little
guy
emotion.
with the gold necklace. You're like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah,
Sure.
that was super cool.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
And Twitter started blowing up that I think it was someone from TSN that was in the arena that was posting this stuff. And I'm sure, like, when they, it's a beer league, so after the first period, when they're all sitting there in the room, I'm sure somebody said, hey, Connor, you're getting lit up on Twitter. We're beating you 4-0. Ha, ha, ha. And he's probably thinking, like, I can't even play a beer league game without you guys, like, saying what the score is.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I showed you the Heisman odds a week or two ago, and they had Garrett Nussmeier as the second favorite behind Manning. So Brian Kelly's very excited to have Garrett back at school.
He is no athlete, in my opinion. You can quote me on that. Like, he is a clumsy white dude, and he sucked. Like, I'm being nice now. Now all of a sudden you're talking about him being great? Oh, slow down there, coach.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Shohei Ohtani can do something that nobody else in Major League Baseball can do. That means being maybe one of, if not the top 5 best hitters in baseball, and then go on the mound and throw some gems out here. Like, he threw 9 innings so far in his season, which isn't a lot, but that ERA is at 1. Are we saying that once he gets to 5 and 6 innings, that ERA is going to stay at 1? No, it isn't. But if it does, my goodness. I mean, just hand him the Cy Young on top of it as well. It's cheating.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish, joined by Tom Vecchio, who's all fired up for the weekend because we've got Major League Baseball back in the house. Tom, welcome back to NewsWire. Great to catch up with you. All right, no excuses. You've had days and days and days. To prepare. I'm just kidding. To prepare for these games. I mean, betting on sports is impossible to begin with. Let's start off with some matchups this weekend, and let's start off in Tampa Bay at Steinbrenner Field. The Rays do not have a lot of home games left. They're playing, though, this weekend and next week at home at Steinbrenner Field against the Baltimore Orioles. And these are sort of must-win games here. Why? because the trade deadline is coming up. And if the Rays want to be part of this thing, they're going to have to win some games to stay in it. Taj Bradley will pitch for the Rays. Charlie Morton's, whose name is going to come up a lot in trades, I'm guessing he's probably going to be traded, honestly, by the Orioles. Tom is pitching for Baltimore. So let's start there, and then we'll move on to the rest of the division.
Yeah, so speaking of Charlie Morton, I actually like his under on strikeouts today. It was sitting at plus 120. And this is a thing that's going to come up a lot over the next few weeks, as you alluded to with the trade deadline. You know, teams are going to be reeling in pitchers. They're going to be protecting the trade assets that they have. So Charlie Morton's been pretty solid. He started off the year really rough. He's actually improved quite a bit since then. But do we expect him to be pushing him out there a ton? Like, we do have great hitting weather out there. So to see the Rays score a bunch of runs at home as they normally do, I'm not going to be surprised. So I think the Orioles will reel Charlie Morton in, and his name will continue to come up. So if they pull him early after 5 innings and he only gets the 4 strikeouts, I don't think it's going to be surprised anything. We saw it with, numerous pitchers last year going back. So just give me the under on Charlie Morton, and I do expect a good amount of runs tonight.
All right, so now the division is the bigger question here, because I think that most people feel that 4 teams could still be in this thing, including Tampa Bay. The Orioles, I think, are out of it. But Toronto, New York, Boston, Tampa Bay in the American League East, all with odds of 11-1 or shorter. The Red Sox are coming off a 10-game winning streak. Am I right, Tom, by saying that that's that active streak, right? Isn't that 10 going into the second half? Right. So they're still very much in it as well.
Yeah, I would say this comes down to what you really expect overall. And a lot of this is yet to be seen. Like, will the Yankees go out and get another pitcher because they lost Clark Schmidt? Will they go out and get another hitter like Eugenio Suarez? Will we see the Blue Jays go out and get another pitcher? Will we see the Red Sox continue this hot streak? And they start off, obviously, early today at Wrigley at 2 o'clock. And then will also they go out, because Charlie Morton, I believe, was connected to the Red Sox. So there's a lot to be seen. If you are just looking to have a little bit of fun with it and you want to root for, I think, a little bit of chaos, the Red Sox, I think, are the right answer. I will say you should be doing this at a much smaller unit size because their odds are so long, and they still obviously have some deficiencies in their team overall. But no one team has shown to be amazing at any significant stretch of time. Like, the Blue Jays got hot, the Yankees were crumbling, the Red Sox are hot right now, but will they continue that after a week off?
I think that's a fair question to ask. Also, we should ask of the Detroit Tigers, are they going to get back hot again like they were for the majority of the season? But going into the break, not so much. They take on the Texas Rangers tonight, and it looks like they're giving Tariq Skubal a little bit of time off after that All-Star break here. So Reese Olson will start for Texas. It's Patrick Corbin. Tom, I don't know really what to make of Texas. I feel like they still should be in this thing, and if they make a run in the next couple of weeks, perhaps. But Detroit is clearly one of the teams to watch here in the second half.
Yeah, I was super high on the Rangers coming into the season. I just like what they had from their lineup. It's absolutely struggled overall. I'm not super sold on Patrick Corbin. I know he's having a phenomenal year, and he's kind of like a reclamation year, considering where he has been over the past few seasons. I think it's more interesting from the Detroit side of things, because they were blazing hot for, what do we want to call it, 90% of the first half of the season. And then the last, not just this 4-game losing streak that they're on, but the last week and a half, they haven't looked so good. They're dealing with some injuries in their pitching staff. They're obviously losing players for the entire season. So I would like to see them go out and make another move when it comes to bolstering their pitching staff. Like, Jack Flaherty has looked okay-ish this year. Mize is there. So I want to see them do a bit more. I think they right the ship tonight, but I also don't think we're going to see a whole lot of runs.
Second half of the season for the Texas Rangers is a big question. Their win total is 80.5. You see Jacob deGrom there. Will they keep him? Will they try to trade him? Still remains to be seen. I feel like Texas, Tom, is still built to win, don't you?
I do. I think their lineup, I want to say we want to see a higher level of consistency. I want to say we don't need to see as much power from them. Obviously, the struggles that we saw from Marcus Semien has been up and down. Corey Seager has been up and down. They're dealing with injuries. Then they sent Jake Berger up and down. He was injured. Like, there's so much going on with the lineup. Like, just give me 15 straight games where everyone's healthy and everyone play the entire time. But we're also running out of time before the All-Star break to give us that actual indication.
Now let's take a look at another game tonight out west. We've got the Houston Astros taking on the Seattle Mariners. The game is 10:10 Eastern. The Mariners are slight favorite with Brandon Walter battling Luis Castillo. Obviously, Seattle's going to be a little bit of a favorite here, but does Seattle really pose a long-term threat, you think, to Houston?
I don't. I really don't. And frankly, I really like Houston tonight, and I really like them taking on plus money. If you dig into Brandon Walter, he is a sub-3 xFIP, which obviously we like to use as an indicator. So I would say a little bit better than ERA overall. Granted, it's from a smaller 40.2 inning sample size. And yes, Luis Castillo is a proven pitcher over many years, but I'm not sold on the Mariners, and I also expect the Astros to bounce back after they had lost, was it 4 of their last 5 going into the break? I think they are a much better team compared to that. They were super hot. They lost to Cleveland. Now they're coming in this side of the break. Give me plus money on a pitcher that doesn't have the name brand recognition that Luis Castillo has, but Brandon Walter's got some pretty good underlying metrics.
All right, now finally to win the World Series, Tom, has your opinion changed at all? Is it still the teams that we're going to see here on the board, or is it possible that somebody else jumps into the mix? The biggest long shot on our board here are the Cubs at 12-1.
Yeah, so I actually do like the Cubs. I was just talking about this with Ben and Donnie on the early line. I actually do like the Cubs, and it really comes down to if things break favorably for them in the playoff bracket. If they can avoid the Mets and the Phillies on one side, they only have to play one of them before they get to the Dodgers. That would be beneficial. Obviously, there's so much to be seen. But I would actually look to more of a direct outcome, which you can certainly bet on, like Cubs to beat the Dodgers in the NLCS. I have a whole lot of interest in that. But give me the Cubs jumping past both the Mets and the Phillies to play the Dodgers in the NLCS.
Cubs will make some moves here at the trade deadline, Tom. Maybe that wish will come true here in a couple of weeks. Thanks again for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll take a quick time out here on NewsWire. When we come back next, it's time for the SportsGrid Sound Off. Southeastern Conference Media Days continue. We'll hear from Mike Elko, Sam Pittman, and Mark Stoops. You're watching NewsWire here on SportsGrid, and we'll be back after these quick messages with a preview of the upcoming SEC football season. Don't go away.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The best white American prospect since Larry Bird. And think about how Larry Bird kind of came in Magic and transcended the game. We've talked about for a long time, LeBron's towards the end. KD's towards the end. Steph Curry's towards the end. Who is going to be the American face of basketball?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Southeastern Conference Media Days continuing. The upcoming college football season begins, of course, next month. We'll hear from Mike Elko from Texas A&M. Tough break for them in the SEC Championship. Sam Pittman answering all the tough questions at Arkansas. And also Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Time now for the SportsGrid Sound Off. Pretty good season for the Aggies last year, but the question is, can they get over the hump and maybe win an SEC championship. We know Jimbo Fisher had no luck at that. They dismissed him. They brought in Mike Elko, have to say, successful first season for him. But dating back to last year in the Southeastern Conference title game, what did not go right for A&M? Mike Elko explains and how they can get back on the map here in 2025.
Mike, what lessons did your team learn last season, being so close to the SEC championship game but not finishing?
Yeah, I think you have to go through some of that sometimes. And as painful it is, and as painful it was for us and our fans and everyone involved, we had never been in that position before. We had never been the hunted team. We had never been in November competing for an opportunity to get into Atlanta with our destiny in our own hands. And I think you learn how you have to elevate your game in those matchups when you become that team. And, going on the road in back-to-back weeks, and we didn't play the football that we needed to play to finish it. And it's been our mantra the entire offseason. Mantras don't turn into wins, but I do believe our kids have a really strong chip on our shoulder to change that story and finish this thing the right way.
Yeah, I think that A&M is probably poised to have a nice season. The question is, can someone else in the SEC West do the same? That's University of Arkansas, the Razorbacks. Man, they've been up against it the last few years. Trying to get back to where they were many years ago is competitive in the conference. And boy, tough questions asked by the media to head coach Sam Pittman yesterday. Seemed like didn't really want to answer them either.
Coach, you've accepted 4 bowl invitations in your 5 years. Y'all won 3. But it would be safe to say there's somewhat of a hill to climb at Arkansas. You have the lowest paid support staff, the least amount of NFL draft picks per capita in that state. How do y'all go about building that roster and setting that culture in Fayetteville?
Man, we have to go outside of our state. In-state recruiting has changed over the last 3 or 4 years because of NIL. And so you have to think about the talent, who it is, versus what the pay is expected. And so that's been a little bit more difficult in our state. But we like to stay within an 8-hour radius if we can. We've expanded that just a little bit. Where our kids can come see us several different times. Financially, with revenue sharing, I think now we're back on even keel with everybody, which we weren't. You just read that off. When we were even, we went from 4-20 to top 20 in 2 years.
Doing better, but again, tough questions, I would think, in the media. Same can be asked for Mark Stoops. 7-6 a couple of seasons ago looked like the Wildcats were on the right track, then they fell back to 4-8 this past year. Can they get things going again? Mark Stoops, the head coach of the Wildcats, says, let the past be the past.
It's a real challenge. When I got to Kentucky, I think, as I mentioned, I listen, I might as well just stay away from that. I was going to say something, but I say things tongue-in-cheek, and it gets taken way out of control. When you lose, you got to watch what you say, Barry. But truthfully, when we got there was so much work to be done. I'm very proud of that run that we had. I mean, it's the best run we had in school. Maybe one other one with Bear Bryant, if you go back to the 50s there. But, there's an 8-year run there, where we've been as consistent as anybody in the history of our school. And our local media was asking me this morning, and, each coach that stands up here, we go back a little bit, but we're really concentrating on this year, right? Like what's ahead of us. But when you have a down year, you have to stand up here, you have to own it, you have to face it, talk about the things you're doing to address it, and then move on. I've stood up here after, 2 10-win seasons. That's only happened 2 times in the history of our school, and I don't really want to talk about that year. I want to talk about this year, so there's a fine balance there.
Let's take a quick time out here on NewsWire. When we come back next, Sam McQuillan will join us from Legal Sports Report, the latest on Underdog and all of the sports operators, Daily Fantasy, and everyone else out in California appear to be having to jump ship. Is that going to be the case in the future? Sam will tell us next. You're watching NewsWire on SportsGrid here on this Friday. Be right back after this. Don't go away.
his run in Salt Lake is over. But, you know, obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The best white American prospect since Larry Bird. And think about how Larry Bird kind of came in Magic and transcended the game. We've talked about for a long time, LeBron's towards the end. You know, KD's towards the end. Steph Curry's towards the end. Who is going to be the American face of basketball?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Sam McQuillan is with us from Legal Sports Report to go over the very latest in sports betting around the country. Sam, when you were with us a year ago, we were talking about maybe the state of California and the tribes getting together to implement sports betting for the future. Not only have we not had that happen, it feels like we're going backwards in California. No sweepstakes, maybe no daily fantasy. Underdog, who does so much business in the state, is looking to basically change the way that they operate in order to stay in business there. Man, disappointing results here for that state.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in California right now with respect to sports betting, with respect to sweepstakes games, with respect to prediction markets, and most recently, daily fantasy sports, which famously is in the news now because the Attorney General just declared that daily fantasy sports are not legal in the state. I want to be clear that he didn't say anything about regular fantasy sports with your fantasy football team or something like that. It's daily fantasy sports, specifically the games offered by companies like Underdog and Prize Picks, which have really made a killing in California, which doesn't have legal sports betting. So people only, if you want to kind of bet, the only real option you have is to play these pick'em style games, which are pretty much just player prop parlays. You know, you stake money and you get a bigger outcome if you're right, and you lose the money if you're wrong. It's something that a lot of states have identified as, hey, this is sports betting. And in response, Underdog in 20 states now has converted how those games work from being player versus the house, where I put in $10, and if my parlay hits or my pick'em combination hits, I get 100 back from Underdog. They've now changed that mechanism to be peer-to-peer. So think of the $10 I was betting as now an entry fee. And all the entry fees that players put on a particular game or a particular night get pooled into the prize outcome. So then if I win, my money comes from that pool. It's effectively the same exact game, except the prizes are no longer fixed. They depend on how much money everyone's putting together. So if you are a fan of these games, you'll be happy that it's basically staying the same, just under a different name. It's not called Underdog Champions. But is this going to stay for long is kind of the big question. Underdog had filed a lawsuit to stop this opinion from coming out. They ended up losing that, and the opinion came out. But in doing so, they actually got the judge to say something that was really important for Underdog and a big win for these companies. The judge said that the opinion is legally non-binding, and the AG doesn't really have any enforcement to change the law or put this kind of in place. So in Underdog's mind and in Prize Picks' mind, which has also changed, they're kind of saying, okay, I guess the opinion doesn't really matter. Now, the opinion could influence policy decisions. The office could try to act, but then there'd probably be a lawsuit to challenge that. The opinion was on the Attorney General's desk for several years. So he only just now issued it. So the timing is really interesting as well. You got to wonder why this is happening now. We'll have to keep seeing what we're going to keep monitoring the situation and see what's going to go on here. But California is not a state like Wyoming where if you're a fantasy sports operator, you just want to, pack up shop and, okay, that's fine. We don't want to piss anybody off. It's estimated to be a $3 billion market, and there's no legal sports betting options right now. So Underdog is going to try to stay there for as long as they can, whether it's through this, new format or whether it's through a lawsuit down the line. But it'll be really interesting to see kind of what happens next. As you mentioned, Craig, we've been talking about California a lot, so definitely won't be the last time.
Now, the prediction markets are the other hot topic of the year here, with Kalshi and many others stating that they're not sports betting companies and they're doing things differently and they should be allowed to compete with some of these other companies in the space. And Sam, I think what's most fascinating is they keep winning in a lot of states and they're able to operate in a lot of states. And it feels like the sports betting operators have caught eye of this and said, well, look, if they're going to be allowed to operate, why not get a little piece of the pie? And it feels like that's what's next for DraftKings here.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that assessment, Craig. Originally, it was kind of just, oh, wait, these prediction markets are offering sports. That looks very much like sports betting, and that would probably get cracked down on. And of course, we had, I think, 7 states filed lawsuits, Nevada, New Jersey, to stop this. Basically, the regulators in those states saying, hey, this is sports betting. You need to get a license. You can't just open up shop here. And notably, they're in states where there is no sports betting, like California as well. But like you mentioned, those lawsuits, they were all allowed to, there was preliminary injunctions which were issued, which basically allow these companies to keep operating while the lawsuits play out. The CFTC, which is supposed to regulate prediction markets, really has done nothing. They've kind of just kept their hands free. And I think, now you have sports betting operators who maybe in the past were, afraid to piss off a state, piss off a regulator, be kind of work in bad faith if they don't want to jeopardize their business elsewhere. Now they're starting to say, okay, maybe this is a huge way for us to get in these states instead of spending, I don't know, billions of dollars in California to try to get it legalized, and signing a deal with the tribes to give away 50% of your revenue. Why don't we just launch a prediction market and start taking business there? That certainly seems to be kind of where the breadcrumbs are leading us. There was a report this week that DraftKings is in talks to acquire Railbird, which is a CFTC regulated prediction market. It actually just got its regulation about a month ago. So the timing is really interesting. It just became a thing, and DraftKings apparently is already going after it. DraftKings had actually previously filed to run its own prediction market in April called DraftKings Predict, but all of a sudden they pulled their application. That happened a few weeks before there was supposed to be this big roundtable, which the CFTC called their first step in kind of figuring out what's going on with these prediction markets. You have states, you have gaming companies, you have lawmakers angry at them saying, hey, this is sports betting, you got to crack down on it. And then they suddenly just pulled the roundtable. It's not happening. There's no rescheduled date. So I think that is also maybe one of those hints that a company like DraftKings took and says, okay, maybe, this is going to be allowed. Maybe there is no crazy crackdown. So, if DraftKings gets involved, if they buy this, if they go in a state like California where there is no legal sports betting, that would certainly have a lot of ramifications. FanDuel hasn't ruled out doing something like this. I imagine they would follow right after DraftKings. Of course, they are in talks with the tribes. They're actually closer to a deal than they've ever been to get sports betting legalized. But the tribes really do not like sports prediction markets because they view them as sports betting. So if DraftKings starts doing that, it would probably piss them off. And then maybe you have sports betting fall apart in California and it never becomes legal. There's so many different kind of ramifications here and kind of consequences of this whole thing. And kind of the overarching shadow behind it is it feels like something will come eventually that declares what Kalshi, what Robinhood, what Predict It, what this company Railbird, what they're doing. It feels like something will come to declare that as sports betting and not okay. We just don't know when. And I think for DraftKings they want to jump in if there's uncertainty around it.
Yeah, as they should. I mean, if they're able to operate, why not jump in as well? All right, everyone will be jumping in Missouri. Now, a very odd, I think, start to sports betting, Sam, on December the 1st, not October or November. Usually a lot of these states have sort of opened up sports betting around some sort of event. But December 1st is the date that they chose. And we're finding out which sports betting operators are going to go live on that date as well. It's a landmark and really the only, as far as I understand here, and I'm thinking through, is I think it's the only state this calendar year, to have sports betting legalized.
Yeah, we're running out of states, Craig. We've got 37 now. It's going to be 38 soon with legal sports betting. So that's kind of the story of the industry. You know, there was a while where we were hearing about every state legalizing, and now there's just not that many left. But Missouri will definitely be a big one for operators. FanDuel, DraftKings, Circa Sports just applied to do business there December 1st. As you mentioned, kind of a weird date. It is in the middle of the NFL playoffs, which should generate some good buzz, but actually legally written into the law, that was kind of the last day that they were given to be able to do it. It had to happen by that date before the new year, which is a good thing. A lot of the times you've had states like Maryland where there was no deadline for it to actually launch, and we were waiting like 3 or 4 years for something to happen. But this should give DraftKings, Circa plenty of time to get in, and it's going to be a big state. So it's nice to have another one off the board here. It feels like forever since we've talked about a state sports betting launch.
Hopefully 2026 brings us something. Feels like we're running out of time for the year. Sam, great to catch up with you again. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks, Craig.
Simon Applebaum, the podcast Tomorrow Will Be Televised, joins us with the latest in sports media next.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The best white American prospect since Larry Bird. And think about how Larry Bird kind of came in Magic and transcended the game. We've talked about for a long time, LeBron's towards the end. KD's towards the end. Steph Curry's towards the end. Who is going to be the American face of basketball?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We got Simon Applebaum from the podcast Tomorrow Will Be Televised in the house. Big week in sports, big week in TV, by the way. Not just sports, Simon, but also in late night news as well. Nothing to do with sports, but I saw that Stephen Colbert's show canceled next year. My gosh, a lot happening. So let's dive right into it, Simon. Great to be back with you. Welcome back from your little vacation here on the show, and no vacation for sports media, that's for sure. Let's start off with Major League Baseball's Midsummer Classic. We, of course, had the Home Run Derby, the last one potentially ever on ESPN, Simon, on Monday night, and then the All-Star Game on Tuesday, which was ended with a swing-off. And a lot of folks were really compelled to talk about that, that's for sure.
Absolutely, Craig. It is the talk of sports media, and it's very negative talk, by the way, and Major League Baseball should be paying attention. By the way, the All-Star Game on Fox on Tuesday night, 7.2 million viewers watching. It was down from 7.4 last year and down from a decade ago when you had 10, 11 million people watching on average. I thought that the coverage itself until what was supposed to be the extra innings was great. Joe Davis showed why. He won the Sports Emmy Award for play-by-play. The Hank Aaron tribute was wonderful. And then came the swing-off. Suggestion to Major League Baseball. If you're going to do this, how about telling people in advance, both the fans and the press, that you're going to do it? Secondly, tell the big athletes like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani that if you're going to do this swing off, have them involved. That would have helped things. Instead, it came up very amateurish. It came off like penalty kicks in soccer. I hope Major League Baseball is not looking at this as a way to resolve games in the regular season or in the playoffs of the World Series. When it came to the Home Run Derby, yes, as you said, this probably is the last time that ESPN is going to run it on Monday night. They had 5.2 million people watching on ESPN, and another 500,000 with the StatCast on ESPN2. Overall, that was up 5% from a year ago. But once again, the social media talk is, and also from sports TV analysts, including people like Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser, pardon the interruption, on their own network, it was a terrible telecast. Why? Because you had this vertical split screen where on the left side you had the pitcher and the batter, and then they had the home runs being hit on the right-hand side. And for the most part, the home runs were not being seen, and that's a big, big problem. Why couldn't they just do full screen, pitch, then shift to another camera which showed the home runs going either being caught or being out of the ballpark? It's a shame because it was a very interesting home run derby contest. And incidentally, I think that Netflix, Fox, maybe Prime Video all have a shot to get the Home Run Derby starting next year. And again, Netflix and Prime Video, this is the kind of one-off event every year that would be great on mega content services like them.
Yeah, I think you and I see it the same way on the video broadcast, but we see it on the Home Run Derby because I was freaking out too. I mean, apparently the alternate broadcast had a clearer shot of the home runs, but I don't know what was going on for the first several minutes of that Home Run Derby. They couldn't follow the ball. But I will tell you, the swing off, Simon, very popular. I mean, I don't think it's going to any regular season games or postseason or anything like that. But to have it in the All-Star Game format, I don't know. We see it differently. I thought it was actually cool to end that. Now, here is what's not cool, I think, for Formula One. Now, here in the United States, Simon, F1 is not nearly as popular as it is around the globe. But whoever gets the rights to Formula One and the streaming rights gets a massive victory. And apparently Apple TV is the one that at least is taking the win here. Are they the ones exclusively that are going to be broadcasting F1 in the future?
Yes, they are. And they are very excited about it because it helps them because of their growing involvement in sports, Friday Night Baseball, as well as Major League Soccer. F1 is now starting to creep up in popularity. One of the problems is that it's usually on Sunday mornings, with the exception of the races that are in the United States. But Apple can really put on the marketing juice and the promotional juice to bring up F1's profile in the United States. And that's not the only situation, by the way, Craig, that Apple might get out of ESPN. Rob Manfredi, the head of Major League Baseball, in an interview earlier this week suggested that Apple, as well as NBC and Peacock, are both in the running to get Sunday Night Football away from Sunday Night Baseball away from ESPN. And there's still talk, by the way, that despite the fact that ESPN has said we no longer Major League Baseball on our networks as of next year, they may still try to get it back. They may be backpedaling on that. By the way, if NBC Peacock gets Sunday Night Baseball, here's how I see it going down. Number one, you would have NBC having year-round Sunday night sports. Basketball for the first time, baseball and football. So you would have Peacock running the early Sunday Night Baseball games in April and May and June. Then it would be an NBC Peacock simulcast in July and August. And then when Sunday Night Football returns on NBC and Peacock, you would have Sunday Night Baseball in September and early October. So again, Apple getting Formula One may not be the only ESPN sport that they'll ultimately get on their schedule this year.
Let's get to the PGA Tour. Simon, cord cutters, of course, are very heavily involved in the way that we're streaming and viewing options. Consuming is the word that they use, and the PGA Tour seems to be following the rest of the leagues. It's either streaming or nothing at this point, especially for most of their events. What do you think the new PGA Tour executive thinks about the future of the PGA Tour in terms of viewership?
Well, the new chief executive, Craig, of the PGA Tour is a man named Brian Roloff. He was the former media officer of the National Football League, and I think he's reading the tea leaves. If you haven't seen the new Nielsen report, The Gauge, which showcases monthly viewing, get this. Broadcast network viewing on a monthly basis last month, 18%. That is the lowest ever. And programming services like Netflix and Prime Video and HBO Max, etc., and other services on smart TV sets and devices, 46%. With cable with about 23, 24, and the rest other media vehicles. So I think he's reading the tea leaves that at some point we've got to show events on the Netflixes, the Prime Videos, et cetera, et cetera. And I think he's going to try, like the NFL has been doing, take individual events and maybe put them on. Here's the suggestion. Remember the Skins game? The top 4 players in the PGA or in all of golf, and they do an 18-hole tournament where each hole or group of holes has a certain amount, let's say $20,000 a hole, $40,000 for, let's say, 7 to 14, and then the rest $100,000. I think that could come back under Roloff, and Netflix and Prime Video or HBO Max or another mega content services could be in great position to get that kind of tournament. I think that's the kind of avenue that the PGA is going to go.
Simon, welcome back. Have a great weekend. We'll catch up again next week, getting ready for the upcoming NFL preseason Hall of Fame game. Thanks again for coming on.
Take care and enjoy.
Simon Applebaum, his podcast tomorrow will be televised. Up next here on the show, it's time for some last licks. Shohei Ohtani with a new book, Lee Westwood with a new caddy, but he's familiar with her. We'll be right back.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The best white American prospect since Larry Bird. And think about how Larry Bird kind of came in magic and transcended the game. We've talked about for a long time, LeBron's towards the end. KD's towards the end. Steph Curry's towards the end. Who is going to be the American face of basketball?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid as we wrap up this Friday. A quick reminder, you can catch me and George Kurtz tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, as we got fantasy sports today. Fantasy football season is coming up. Your first look at the 2025 fantasy football drafts this weekend, exclusively here on SportsGrid. Also, as we wrap up the show, Lee Westwood has a caddy that he's quite familiar with, a new book for Shohei Ohtani, and what a story coming out at a casino in North Carolina. I got it all for you here. It's time now we wrap it up with some last licks. Well, a casino in North Carolina is being sued because there is somebody that doesn't like the way that he was treated when he wanted to cash in a bet. The casino specifically in question is a Harrah's in the state of North Carolina. There's a gentleman who said that he placed a very large wager on the Boston Celtics to win the NBA championship and was treated by a criminal when they ended up winning. That's correct. There's video, he says, to prove it. Says he walked into the casino with his winning ticket, which was over $500,000 to cash. Not only would the casino not cash it, they accused him of fraud, treated him like a criminal, and told him to leave the casino. But in the end, he says that he was holding a very legitimate ticket to win the championship. How odd. What a story there. So now he's suing for damages because the video went viral on the internet and says that basically everyone's making fun of him. How much will he end up winning in this? I don't know, but the casino's got to know a little bit better. Hey, look. If there's a legit ticket to cash for $500,000, all you got to do is go talk to the casino guy in the back and say, hey, look, is this real or not? But instead, somebody really screwed up and made this guy look foolish. Needless to say, he did get paid out on his bet, but feels like he was treated unfairly. And if you go and watch the videos, it does seem a little bit bizarre that somebody would be asked to leave a casino after holding a winning ticket. $500,000 was not enough for this guy. He's going to sue the casino as well. Harrah's in North Carolina. Take note. Shohei Ohtani, not only the best player in Major League Baseball currently, I know Frank doesn't feel that way, our producer feels it's Aaron Judge, but the pitcher and hitter, I'm sorry, you got to give it to Ohtani. But now he's also the author of a new book. That's correct. Shohei Ohtani and his dog, of course, he's very popular for that, has decided to write a new children's book. You can go ahead and get yourself a new copy. It is available on Amazon and wherever you buy books as well. Ohtani, no doubt, probably going to be the MVP once again of the National League, and it's called Decoy Saves Opening Day. That's the name of the book. Had to make sure I clicked it to get that right. Sorry about that, guys. Forgot the name of the book. Decoy Saves Opening Day. Decoy is the name of his dog, and Shohei Ohtani, very popular right now for doing so many different things. Pretty cool book. Finally, at the PGA Tour, we've got the Open Championship, and it looks like Lee Westwood is going to make the cut at the Open from what I'm seeing here, still under par, so that's good news for him. For those of you who have not noticed this weekend, Lee Westwood has a new caddy this weekend, and at Royal Portrush, his caddy is his wife. That's correct. You can see that little picture there. His wife is jumping around, walking around the course with him as well. So Westwood not only could potentially win a lot of money this weekend, but also make his wife very happy this weekend as she is following him around. It is, by the way, the 28th Open that Lee Westwood is playing in. His wife's name is Helen, and she is the one giving him all the clubs and giving all the advice. I wonder if this is the beginning of a trend for the future for some of these PGA Tour players. I'm not sure. But Westwood, of course, may be coming to the end of his illustrious career playing on the PGA Tour, decided to bring Helen along for the ride. Pretty cool gesture, I would say, as well. So you'll catch him this weekend playing, no doubt about that. All right, that'll do it for our show today. And for more on the upcoming British Open Championship Saturday and Sunday, make sure you stay tuned because Smiley Kaufman's got you covered here at noon Eastern. Our show schedule for the remainder of the day here on SportsGrid is as follows. Pharrell Coast to Coast at 3 o'clock Eastern, followed by Front Office Sports. At 6, we've got In-Game Live tonight, but Game Time Decisions is the show to watch tonight because with all of the Major League Baseball action, you'll get tons of sports betting help. That's 6:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. That's followed by In-Game Live Game Day. And then wrapping up the evening in baseball, we've got Gabe on Sports Rage tonight. So make sure you catch that show as well. Also want to thank our great guests for coming on the program today. That would be Simon Applebaum from the podcast Tomorrow Will Be Televised. Also, thanks to Tom Vecchio for talking some Major League Baseball with us, in addition to Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Reports. Those were our guests here on the show. Our director today in the house is Vinny, filling in for Luke, who's got the week off. Frank is back in the house as our producer, and I'm Craig Mish. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend here on Sports Grid. If you're going to catch our fantasy shows Saturday and Sunday, I'll be right here with you to get you through the first week of the fantasy football draft season. If not, Our next program on NewsWire is Monday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, exclusively here on SportsGrid. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you back here for our next show Monday morning. Have a good one.